Hello and welcome. I am the Restless Kaiser and we are once again modelling for advantage. So, working our way through German vehicles in the desert as part of our ongoing project to move tanks into the desert. Let's take a look at the Panzer III. The Panzer III then, she was the first of Germany's main battle tanks of what we might incorrectly call these days the Blitzkrieg era, and she appears in most of the propaganda shots from that early war period up until 1941 at the very least. The box art then was very nice. They don't commission box art, they take photographs of painted models in the settings using their own scenery sets. I think that's really nice. It's just such a shame that they don't include decals in this set, even a really basic set. Because particularly with these desert tanks, which are generally flat, single colour, the decals really make a big difference. I'm hoping in the future they're going to look at that and make some changes. So, let's hear about the Panzer III. The Panzer III is one of the iconic tanks of World War II. Serving in the German army throughout the war, the tank would be upgraded over time with larger guns and heavier armour. During the desert campaign in North Africa, it was upgraded with a long 5cm cannon that was capable of knocking out any Allied tank. The pack contains an unassembled Panzer III, a Panzer III long and a Panzer III short tanks card, a hero card, 2 crew cards and 2 upgrade cards. So pretty standard, but there are 2 different versions of this vehicle in the tanks game, and we get a start card for both. You can see from the instructions, very simple to put together. The long and the short guns are quite clearly very different, and again it shows you how to assemble them separately, and yeah, very nice. So, what do the sprues look like then? The Panzer III was intended to be a main battle tank in this period, and supported by the Panzer IV in a close support role. The original Panzer IV, which we'll see in a later unboxing, was armed with a short 75. It had been intended to be used in a howitzer role, but not to support the infantry, to support the tanks, specifically to support this tank. They wanted to put a 5cm gun in this from the beginning, but they hadn't really developed one, so they had to use the standard 37mm anti-tank gun that they had in their existing infantry formations. So we've got a few different guns on here, but the first sprue, this sprue has got our lower hull, our deck, and our running gear. Again, like a lot of their sprues these days, the running gear is all in a single piece, and it is keyed on the back, so you can't put it on the hull the wrong way around. It is entirely possible when you're a beginner at this stuff to put a drive sprocket at the wrong end and realise that much later. The second sprue then contains the pieces that you would expect to find with the turret and so forth. There's an interesting little piece that fills a space on the engine deck here because it's double-sided. It's reversible, and so that clearly the hatches for accessing the engine were different on the different vehicles, different models of the vehicles, and I really like that because, you know, it's a nice piece of design in terms of the sprue and the kit. So yeah, the turret, we have a driver's the armour over the driver's section. There's 2 different versions of this for the up-armoured version later, which was just a 20mm plate of armour that was just stuck over that section in later versions. I believe it may have even been done in the field. With the mantlet and so forth, and open and closed cupola. A quite distinctive turret basket. And then the 3 guns, I assume, we have here, because although this kit will make 3 different versions, there are only instructions for 2 in here. There's only 2 are pertinent to tanks. I assume this is the 5cm, this is the 37, and this is the short 75, which the sort of later M and N, LMN versions of the Panzer III, I think, it returned to, or returned into a support role as the Panzer IV overtook it as the main battle tank. You had a few extra little bits of stowage, spare road wheels and so forth. Really nice little kit. Looks like it'll go together like a charm. But what about the cards then? These cards are really what make these kits that they provide from Gale Force 9 expansion packs. So the Panzer III short and long, as was the trend with the World War II setting for tanks, the national characteristics are printed on the cards. In this case, they're German vehicles. They get Blitzkrieg, which allows them to make an extra move in the command phase at the end of the game if they're not repairing or at the end of the game turn. So these vehicles then, both versions come out at Initiative 4, but the difference is in the firepower then in the first instance. The short version has firepower 3, the long version has firepower 4. They both have a single point of armour, which is probably quite generous for what was in most cases 30 mil of frontal armour. And they have 4 hit points at 11 and 14 points. So you're paying 3 additional points for that extra firepower. But if you've played tanks at all, it really is a game about initiative and firepower. So it's probably worth it. We'll have to see. And then the upgrade cards then. If you're in here, these are mostly German national specific. So we will start with, top of the list, we get Erwin Rommel. +3 initiative. Once per turn, you may reroll any 1 die. Friendly German tanks within line of sight of Rommel gain +1 initiative. If Rommel is killed, your opponent scores a victory point. Well, that is a fantastic upgrade, but I certainly wouldn't want to put it on an 11-point tank. But yeah, huge upgrade there. Tiger Escort tank then is a doctrinal upgrade. At the start of the shooting phase, this tank may choose to forfeit its attack. If it does, a Tiger tank within close range may re-roll any 2 attack dice. Can only be used on a Panzer III. That's a 2-point upgrade, so you can use that with this cheaper short version of the tank. For 13 points, you're getting this little 4 hit dice thing, 4 hit point thing, following a Tiger tank around and allowing it to re-roll 2 dice. Probably quite good. And then another 2 points is an ammo upgrade, Tungsten Shot. Discard this to gain +1 firepower. If you roll 2 or more 1s with this attack, the whole attack misses. So the Germans had tungsten tip penetrators for their armour-piercing shells for quite a long time, but they didn't have access to a lot of tungsten. So they didn't use this as widely as they might want to. And then we have 2 generic cards, the first one of which is a 3-point assassin. You can use 2 uncancelled hits to kill a crew member, and that's a fairly universal card, I've seen that before. And a platoon coordinator. For 3 points, this is a radio operator guy. Friendly stationary tanks within close range of this tank gain +1 initiative in the shooting phase. The problem with initiative in the shooting phase is with the Final Fury, it rarely matters particularly the order you're shooting. It can matter because if you take critical damage that's going to affect your shooting and then you shoot later, it has been reduced in effectiveness. But it rarely matters the order in which shooting is done. So we'll get some stills up so you can see the assembled model and these cards in more detail. If you do decide to buy this kit, or any of the other models, or whatever featured, or just buying some minis in general, do consider following our affiliate link to Wayland Games. It gives us a little bit of kit back, and helps us to keep funding projects for the channel. Thank you for watching.